Emails from a new batch of Epstein files appear to show Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the former Duke of York, requesting inappropriate friends from one of the convicted pedophile's close associates.
When the newest set of documents arrived from the United States last week, most readers assumed it would be nothing unusual. Heavy legal wording, blacked out sections, and unfinished leads. What hardly anyone expected was an email so direct, so strangely relaxed that it has now turned into one of the most discussed messages in the whole collection. Hidden within the documents is a note said to be written by Andrew Mountbatten Windsor during the summer of 2001, and the language sparks uneasy doubts about his decision-making, the people he kept around him, and what he was saying. Privately, at a moment when scrutiny of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell was starting to grow, the message was sent in August 2001 from an account called The Invisible Man and was signed only with the letter A. It was addressed to Ghislaine Maxwell, and the first sentence places the writer in a very recognizable location. I am staying up here at Balmoral Summer Camp for the royal family. That single line greatly reduces the list of possible authors.
So, as Steve mentioned, there was also that email sent to Ghislaine Maxwell from an email address entitled The Invisible Man. And that email began, I'm here at Balmoral Summer Camp for the royal family.
Balmoral, the royal family secluded Scottish property, is not a place just anyone visits in August. As described in the email, the days were packed with planned events. By nighttime, everyone was worn out. There's even a comment about watching over the girls and having to send them to bed early because it was getting hard to keep them apart. It comes across as casual, almost careless, wording that feels unsettling when you think about where it was sent and who was receiving it. A short while later, the mood changes. Once more, the writer asks Maxwell how she is doing, brings up Los Angeles, and then delivers the sentence that has since appeared in headlines worldwide. Have you found me any new improper companions? He continues by saying he is available from August 25th until September 2nd and wants to travel somewhere warm and bright with lively company before heading back to work in the fall. He asks for suggestions and ends a message on a friendly note. Maxwell responds a few hours later with dry humor. She says sorry for letting him down, explains she could only locate suitable friends, and makes a joke about church gatherings.
Let's talk about what is being suggested here from this latest trove of documents and the potential connection here to the royal family. Why is there so much interest in this specific email?
By itself, it comes across as dark humor shared by two people who thought nothing could touch them. Viewed with full background, it becomes something far more serious. The timing is important. This email was sent only months after the alleged abuse said to have happened between him and Virginia Dupre. That claim later became a key part of his public collapse and the settlement that closed the civil lawsuit filed against him years later. Andrew has repeatedly said he does not remember meeting Virginia Jaffrey and denies all misconduct. He has also claimed he ended contact with Epstein once worries were raised, but this email shows him still communicating with Maxwell after those worries were already spreading privately. The writer never states his name, but the signs are hard to dismiss. In a second email sent 2 days later, the Invisible Man says he has lost his valet. The man had worked with him since he was 2 years old and passed away in his sleep. The message talks about feeling unsteady, overloaded, and adrift. He then adds another revealing point. He says he has left the RN. Those letters stand for the Royal Navy. Andrew officially withdrew from active duty at the end of July 2001.
Man writes, I'm here at Balmoral Summer Camp for the royal family. Have you found me some new inappropriate friends? The following year, Maxwell writes to a contact in Peru, referring to the invisible man.
The dates match up exactly. He also says his office has been reorganized and that his life feels unsettled and chaotic. He asks Maxwell for suggestions on how to steady his thoughts again. The voice is personal, open, and comfortable. In another part of the same document release, the same account talks about a potential trip to Peru in February 2002. The next month, Andrew did, in fact, take a 6-day official trip to Peru as part of events honoring his mother's lengthy reign. These points are why lawyers and reporters believe the sender was Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, even though his name is missing from the email itself. The records were made public as part of a broader release by the U.S. Department of Justice, which started sharing material on December 19th. Andrew's name shows up many times throughout the files, often linked to Epstein and Maxwell.
Saying that he is interested in some two-legged sightseeing, intelligent, pretty, fun. Andrew has previously admitted to associating with Epstein, but denied any accusations of wrongdoing.
One photo included in the release shows the prints at the time stretched across the laps of several women, their faces hidden while Maxwell stands above them looking on. The image has spread widely and has been used to show the kind of social setting linked to Epstein during that period. Another recently published memo confirms that in April 2020, U.S. officials formally asked the U.K. government for help to set up a voluntary interview with Andrew. The request was connected not only to Epstein and Maxwell, but also to Canadian fashion designer Peter Nygaard, who has since been found guilty and sentenced in Canada. The memo states plainly that Andrew was not viewed as a target of the investigation and that U.S. officials had not collected evidence showing he broke U.S. law. However, it also explains that if he refused a voluntary interview, authorities wanted the option of a mandatory interview under oath. Andrew never agreed to be questioned. Buckingham Palace has repeatedly said that he fully cooperated through his legal team. Critics respond that real cooperation usually includes sitting down and answering questions in person.
Andrew is far from the only figure to be implicated with the disgraced financier. Donald Trump's name has come up dozens of times in this latest release, including in an email from an assistant U.S. attorney indicating the now president had travelled on Epstein's private jet many more times than previously reported.
What makes this email so harmful is not only the wording, but how easily it was written. There is no hint of care, no feeling of separation. It points to a connection that was still active and casual even while public attention was slowly closing in. It also fits into a larger pattern that has followed Andrew for many years, a habit of minimizing how things look, a belief that background will shield him, an expectation that private remarks will stay private. For an audience watching this story develop as it happens, especially those who clearly remember the early 2000s, it serves as another reminder of how different the rules once seemed for those at the very top. The palace has not directly addressed the contents of the email. Andrew himself has made no public statement about this latest release. The precise details of who knew what and when are still disputed. Many questions remain unresolved, but documents like this make it harder and harder to claim these connections were short-lived, unplanned, or misunderstood. So the issue now is not whether this email will change Andrew's standing. That harm was done long ago. The real question is whether each new release keeps chipping away at the remaining silence surrounding how deeply involved he was in a world most people would have walked away from much earlier. And that brings us to a question for you. What was really meant by inappropriate friends? Do records like this push the story forward? Or do they simply confirm what many already believed? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to keep up with the latest royal updates, news, stories, and gossip, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.